Well, hello, folks, and welcome to the Melhorn Fishing Podcast. I hope you're having a good day, whatever day it is that you happen to be listening to the show or watching it here on YouTube. And if you're watching it, you'll be able to tell I'm in a different location today. I'm actually in Orlando, Florida this week, attending iCast, which, if you're not familiar with it, in the fishing industry, it's the biggest fishing show anywhere. It is the worldwide expo for vendors to come to. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but at the end, after I tell you about this show, I want you to give me a take. I got a question I want you to answer, and I want to get your opinion on it. So let me lay out the parameters of the show, what it's about, how big it is, and then I want to get some feedback from you because I'm curious as to what your take is. And I'll be following up with another podcast. I'm not actually at the show today. I'll be going in there tomorrow, and I'll be coming back with a follow-up podcast later in the week just to kind of let you know the answer to the question I'm going to throw out to you. But anyway, the fishing show is the biggest fishing show in America, in the world, really. It's where all the vendors from around the world come to, and they display their products. Now, it's not a fishing show like the Catfish Conference that goes on in Kentucky every year. This one is designed for the vendors in the sport. So if, let's say, Catfish Pro makes rods. Let's just say if they're at the show, they wouldn't be selling their stuff to individuals. They would try to find a store or a distributor or something like that to sell their products to. Same thing for somebody like Mad Cats. You know, they could come and set up a booth and try to reach out to people like Dick's Sporting Goods or, some of the other big box stores out there, Academy, Bass Pro Shop. It's a place where business sells to business or just tries to introduce products to the fishing industry. One of the big things, I'm here as a media member, a YouTuber, and one of the things I'm able to do is go vote on the new product showcase. They have this area that you have to be a sports writer or somebody in the media in, and we can go in and vote on the best new product. There's a lot of stuff that comes out every year. Something as simple as a little line cutter tool, all the way up to fishing reels, fishing rods. I even saw something about an inflatable kayak. So there's a lot of different stuff, a lot of clothing stuff. And that's kind of part of the reason I'm here, is to see some of the other stuff that is out there in the industry. It is literally from one extreme to another in what you will see here. Everything from a little bitty hook to catch a bluegill with all the way up to a $25,000 sonar radar unit for an offshore fishing boat. So it runs the gamut as far as the fishing world goes. And last year was my first time being here, and I was shocked. I knew it was big, but I was shocked at how big it is. Luckily, this year I got smart and I downloaded an app for my phone that actually has a map of the place in it. You need a map to get around. Those of you that have been to the Catfish Conference, which a lot of my viewers are familiar with that show, and the Catfish Conference is a trade show specific to the catfish industry that takes place in Kentucky every February. This trade show, the Catfish Conference, started out in a banquet room at a hotel. It's since moved to a wing of an expo, a larger venue, an expo center there in Kentucky. And it's a nice size show. But by comparison, it's probably, I don't know, maybe a 10th, a 20th the size of what the iCast show is. I mean, there are literally, and I'm not joking here if you've been to a Catfish Conference, there are some booths in iCast that would almost fill up the entire Catfish Conference. That's probably not quite that big, but I'm just thinking of that same floor space. You could take 3 to 4 of the bigger booths and fill up the entire Catfish Conference. That is how big they go with the stuff that's there. So it's huge. I put a video up last year And I will have some videos up from there this week. So it'll give you something to see. When this actual podcast posts, this video goes up on YouTube, I will actually be at the iCast show. So I'll have some shorts that'll pop up in the afternoon just to kind of give you a feel of what all's there. And it's the who's who of anybody that's in the fishing industry. If you walk into a Walmart store and you look at the shelves and you see Eagle Claw and you see Trocar and you see all the stuff up there hanging on the hooks there in Walmart, they're all here. They all have a booth. Ugly Stick, there'll be every Ugly Stick rod made. I'll try to get y'all a shot of all the different models of Ugly Sticks alone that they make. It's not just catfish rods, it's not just spinning rod. There's a pile of different ones. So it's pretty interesting. And electronics manufacturers, they're all there. So it's a good time for me, one, to see what's going on in the industry, what's new, trends, what's developing. As part of where I kind of got off on some of the tangent with the lithium batteries this past year. I made contact with some lithium battery dealers down here and distributors, and learned a lot about lithium batteries and got exposed to a lot of them. I'm going to see what else is out there this year. I kind of got into that little niche last year. Let's see what else is out there that I can share with you guys. The biggest thing is to find some content, some stuff that I think you guys would be interested in and can learn from. So, it could be something as simple as the chum bobbers that I found last year that were here, which was an interesting way to put chum inside of a bobber to distribute it. I had a couple of videos on that, pretty cool. Dragon Masters was here last year. They make some drifting, dragging, trolling weights and rigs and hooks, and they had a booth that was set up here last year. So there are some people from the catfish specific industry that are here, for the show this week. So, and that brings me to my question of how many, and I want y'all to think about this, out of the hundreds and hundreds of vendors at iCast, how many vendors do you think will be there that are specific to the catfish industry? Now, I'm not talking about somebody like Gamakatsu who makes a catfish hook. That's not really specific. They have a very small little piece of the pie in the catfish world. I'm talking about a brand like Catch the Fever, the rod company. How many people like that are totally into the catfish world will be here with booths? And I asked that question, I raised that question because I think it puts in perspective a lot of things in the catfish industry, in the catfish world, when it comes to everything from why don't we have multiple Catfish Conference shows, to why aren't there more catfish boats, to why doesn't anybody care about catfish conservation and things going on there. I think it'll be a good perspective on the picture, the view, how big catfishing is, how small catfishing is in the whole big picture. Now, a lot of my content is around catfishing. Some of it I'm trying to spread out because while a lot of people only fish for catfish, there's a lot of us, myself included, that also fish for other species. So that's kind of part of the reason I'm here. But I am curious because a lot of you guys are totally into catfishing and catfishing along. Give me your feedback. Put a guess down in the comments section and on how many vendors, catfish specific vendors, will be here selling stuff. I'm curious to get your feedback. I'll give, I look at, and I'll give you a little criteria. This isn't like a, horribly strict rule contest, but a company like Mad Cats, they're basically in the catfish world specifically. Sure, you can use rods for other stuff, but it's kind of specific to the industry. It at least got its start in our industry, in the catfish world. Tackle Bandit, if Tackle Bandit's here, I'll give them, they will count. They started out in the catfish world, even though they sell tackle to a wide range of people now. They kind of got to start there. I'm trying to think of something. Catfish bait manufacturers, some of the punch bait people, that make catfish bait. If there's one of those, that will count. So I'm going to roam the aisles. I'm going to keep track of everybody that I see and try to give you an accurate count. Now, no cheating. Don't go to any of the listings out there for who the vendors are. I don't know if you can get access to it unless you have a credential to get in. And that's another thing about this show. You really can't just attend it. You can't walk in off the street and just go to the show. You have to be either a vendor, a buyer, someone in the media, or a licensed captain. If you're I could have got a credential, a pass by being because I'm a charter captain. They can get a pass to come in to see the show. But it's not just people coming off the street. As big as it is, with the tens of thousands of people that show up for this thing, it's not a consumer show. You don't go buy stuff there. It's not like the Catfish Conference or a local fishing show. The East Tennessee fishing show is one that comes to mind, to where you can go in and they got a bunch of stuff on the racks and you buy you a bunch of fishing rods. It's really funny when you go to some of these people like B&M. B&M makes catfishing rods, they make crappie rods, they make a lot of different fishing rods. They have a very small area that has like a sample of every rod they make, and that's it. Nobody gets to take them home. If a vendor comes in there and says, "Oh, I want, one of the silver Catalytic fishing rods," they've got one they can look at and they can put it in order, that kind of thing for it. Same thing with Gamakatsu. They have this massive display, probably as big as the house that we rented down here. And it's got a bunch of couches, a bunch of chairs, or at least it did last year, and then some hooks, a sample of all their hooks, just so that people can see what they got. It's a different kind of show, but a interesting take on the industry. And that's part of the reason I'm here. And so give me your feedback. Put a guess down there. Is there only going to be one vendor? Is there going to be 5? Is there going to be 10 that are specific and born and bred in the catfish world? And I'd love to see y'all's feedback. I will probably have a podcast up on Thursday or Friday of this week with kind of a summary, but look for some shorts too. I'll probably put up some shorts videos just to kind of keep you up to date on what I found, what I discovered out there. So appreciate you watching. Catch you on the water.